And I wanted to cover the aspect of finding common ground to cleaning these poisoned relationships. Forgive yourselves as much as South Africans have forgiven themselves. And some people say South Africans should have killed each other at the altar of negotiation. I'm talking recently, 94. But where would we be in the world of human rights now if we did that? Would we have found common ground? And of course, the leaders didn't really care. You could kill each other, the leaders don't care. But if they can simply say they are sorry for having perpetrated that, we will go a long way. Because we can't develop going forward when we still see each other as enemies, whereas the real enemy is still smoking a cigar somewhere and praying for you to kill each other.
It was Abraham Lincoln who said, you can fool all of the people some of the time. And you can even fool some of the people all of the time. But what you cannot do is fool all of the people all of the time. Upon registration, you will have seen a chronology of the key events which I thought defined the relationship between these two great nations.
Great minds like Akintoye. I'm still in awe on the message and information. I was mesmerized and my mind focused, and I think I have to come back. Like you said, we need to all come back to listen to him. He's got a lot to offer.
We have two tribes who, in particular, I would like to say, enjoy flexing muscle when it comes to our country. They particularly like to have conversations as to who is more dominant, who is less dominant, or...
I have to tell you that English is one word I never use to describe myself, any more than I want to be identified by the color of my skin. When pushed to conform and tick a box to describe my ethnic origin, I tick other.
I agree entirely with Professor Nwolize that what we should learn to do, what we should use this conference, this afternoon to do, is to look forward rather than look backwards.
My answer to the question posed is an unreserved affirmation. Affirmatively, yes. And that by all accounts, I am this very day, as Madam Chair has observed, this very day, 15th of January, 2021, at 72, a very senior citizen of Nigeria.
As an insider, outsider, African, of South African origin, I must place my comments outside of the box, but in context. And I'm hoping to make very few comments so that you can remember them for a very long time.
Ẹnu èyí tí mo fi ń kọ lóye o, ẹnu tí mo fi ń kọba, tí mo fi ń kí àwọn òǹjòyè, ẹnu tí mo fi ń kọ lórí ìlú, tí rọ́kọ́ tàwàdà kọ́ ẹnu ọ̀hún ni mo fi ń kí gómìnà láwùjọ. Lẹ́yìn aláwòrán bí wọ́n gbẹ náà lọ mi tó yọ sí onílù ọmọ bàbá oníjó.
And now we will hear a comment from Dele Ogun of Fatherland. Dele, over to you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I'm especially grateful to you for your participation today as a Briton, because this is a story that was made in Britain, and it's a story that the British people need to hear and to understand. And as you and I know, governments make every effort to ensure that some of the things that are done in their name are never heard and never brought to the knowledge of their people. So I'm especially grateful to you for your participation. Ladies and gentlemen of this conference, again, thank you for your participation. In the conference pack that you received upon registration, you will have seen a chronology of the key events which I thought defined the relationship between these two great nations. It is not my intention to take you through the detail of that chronology and what is catalogued there. I simply want to comment on 4 dates in particular. And my screen is now being shared, and here are the dates. Our first date is February the 26th, 1906. This was the date on which what was the colony of Lagos, which includes the Yoruba mainland, was amalgamated with the protectorate of southern Nigeria to bring the two nations, Igbo and Yoruba, into political association for the very first time under the shared identity of southern Nigeria. We have done the research, and we can say without any fear of contradiction that there is no record of any crisis between these nations before that 1906 date. There was no war, no invasion, not even a border skirmish, for the simple reason that the Igbo and the Yoruba do not share a border. The Edo are situated in between these two great nations. Now, the emblem for this colonially induced union is what you have seen on all the publicity surrounding this conference. As you know, our people are very quick to question any suggestion of colonial mentality. And so it was not long before we were challenged as to why we were using the coat of arms of King George VI. And I've had to explain that it was designed for southern Nigeria by the British. Now, I want you to take a very close look at the imagery. On the west side, you will see the lion with blood on its claws and around its mouth. On the east side, you will see a unicorn. And ladies and gentlemen, if you look very closely, you will see that the unicorn is chained to the ground. Now, those of us who went through the English schooling system from an early age will know the story of the lion and the unicorn, who were always fighting for the crown of King of the Jungle. Let's move to the next date, 1st of April, 1939. April Fool's Day, 1939, was the day on which the Governor Bernard Bodilon partitioned southern Nigeria into east and west, i.e., these two nations, which had been brought together into political union in 1906, were now being divided. Why was this done, you may ask? Was it that the Igbo and the Yoruba were fighting? The answer is no. Did either of them ask for the separation? The answer is again no. It was done because the British colonial government wanted to do it. And they wanted to do it as part of their plan for northern rule of Nigeria post-independence. Now, it is important to stress that it was not the plan of the North, our northern brothers, even though some of them now claim that northern domination was a product of superior northern strategic genius. It was not their doing or design. The next date that I wish to talk about is 15th of January, 1966. This was the day of the first military coup in Nigeria, which culminated in the unification decree and the abolition of the loose federation and the substitution of a unitary and powerful central government. But just as Northern rule was not the plan of the North, although now credited to them, this was not the objective of the coup plotters, although it is now attributed to them. They were responding to the state of misrule in the country and the culture of impunity that was taking hold, similar to the situation of the country today. Specifically, they were responding to the virtual civil war situation that was raging in the Western region and the crude manipulation of the 1964 federal elections in the Eastern region, in Igbo land. The crisis the coup was responding to, therefore, had Yoruba and Igbo roots. This is why there was a Yoruba and Igbo mix amongst those who carried it out, albeit that the majority happened to be Igbo officers. One of the key objectives of the coupists was the release of Obafemi Awolowo, Premier of the Western region, from prison. We take our evidence on this not from the Igbo side, lest this be dismissed as self-serving, but from the Yoruba officer who was one of the 5 lead plotters, Adewale Ademoyega, in his book titled Why We Struck. Let's now move to our final date, 29th of September 1979. This is 9 years after the end of the Biafran War with, so we were told, no victor, no vanquished. But this was the day on which the Abandoned Properties Decree was published. The decree was published by a Yoruba man, General Olusegun Obasanjo. It had the effect of declaring forfeit to the government properties belonging to Igbos in Port Harcourt, which were not at the date of the decree in the physical occupation of the owner. Now, what do you think this did to our Igbo and Yoruba peoples? But wait, why was this decree published just 2 days before the civilian government of Alhaji Shehu Shagari, a northerner, was due to take over from Obasanjo? And what about that 29th of September date? It is this date, ladies and gentlemen, that gives the clue as to what was really going on. You see, because 29th of May 1962 was the day on which the state of emergency was declared in the Western region, in Yoruba land. 29th of May 1966 was the day of the first round of pogroms against the Igbos in the north. 29th of July 1966 was the date of the second round of pogroms against the Igbos in the north. 29th of September 1966 was the date of the third round of pogroms against Igbos in the north. And here we now see 29th of September 1979, the Abandoned Properties Decree, nominally signed and published by a Yoruba man. But look at that date. This is the reality of the relationship between the Igbos and the Yoruba. The context in which all the events that have caused controversy between us needs to be understood. This brings us round to today's conference on the 15th of January, 2021. It is the day on which Igbos and Yoruba together say, we are no longer going to play the role of the fools that was assigned to us by the British colonial government from 1st of April, 1939. We will follow the example of those officers, Igbo and Yoruba, who were outraged about the political condition in their country, who were tired and wanted to go beyond simply talking about it and moaning about it, to do something positive in order to change what was and is an unacceptable political situation. They joined hearts and minds, notwithstanding the propaganda and the petty bickering of the political class. They joined hands and minds to change the trajectory. 15th of January, therefore, is a date that should be remembered by Igbos and Yorubas alike. We both had a stake in the events of that date. Those of us who will be played the fool no longer are now claiming this date for a new understanding, overriding all the divisive propaganda. We do so towards setting right all that is obviously wrong in this country which we now share together. Thank you for your attendance and thank you for listening. I hand you back to our chair. Thank you, Priscilla, and thank you all the delegates for your patience and all the speakers for your contributions. My closing comments. I start with something very obvious and very basic. Our world has changed. COVID has changed our world. The old world ended in 2019. The new world has begun. And whether we like it or not, we must change. We simply cannot continue to do the things and to think the way we were thinking previously, prior to the COVID intervention. This event demonstrates that the Yoruba and Igbo peoples are determined to change and have decided already that they are going to change. They're changing their relationship. It is a new special relationship. So it is not the British and the Americans alone that will be speaking of a special relationship. From now on, the Igbos and the Yoruba will speak of their special relationship. It is a long journey, and many of the speakers have made that clear. We're journeying back from somewhere very dark, very dirty, very nasty. On one side, the Igbos, there's pain. On the other side, amongst my Yoruba people, there's irritation about all the propaganda that has been directed at them. So the journey will be long. But the journey has begun. It has begun today. In fact, it started before us, as we heard. The handshake across the Niger is a continuation of that long journey. But it's the way that journeys are begun and completed. It is one step at a time, one step after another. So that journey towards the new special relationship is very much underway. 15th of January is ours from now on and forevermore. I've explained that we both had skin in that game. When those boys, the majors, took the step that they did, there was a crisis in the Western region. There was a rigging of the federal elections in the Eastern region, 1964. So that day belongs to us now. And as a result, every single year, 15th of January, this is not a one-off. It's the first of many. Every 15th of January, we will gather like this. Igbos and Yorubas will gather together. Now, coming to the question that many have raised. What about the others? What about the Hausa? What about the Ijo? What about Priscilla's Ogoni people? What about them? The answer is simple. The Fatherland Group's philosophy and vision for Nigeria is simple. It is a union of ethnic groups, as we were and as we will always be. I said it before, Nigeria goes, the British construct called Nigeria goes, the nations will remain. We will continue to have that relationship as we had it before, good neighbors. So Fatherland Group believes in a federation of nationalities, not artificial states where borders are drawn up anyhow, as they did in Berlin for the maps and the borders of Africa. That is the Fatherland vision. So one relationship at a time. Today we've started with the Igbo-Yoruba relationship. We know that there are issues between the minorities in the eastern region and the Igbos. Fatherland Group is committed to repairing all the broken walls, all the broken fences, and mending those relationships, but one step at a time. I want to thank all of our functionaries today, our beautiful, eloquent, masterly Compere, Ms. Priscilla and Nwikpo from our Ogoni people. We're grateful for your assistance. It goes to show that though the Igbos and the Yoruba want to love each other, that we're not forgetting the others who also need loving. But as I explained to some people, that as far as I understand it, polygamy is still a criminal offense in Nigeria at the moment. So it has to be one relationship at a time. I want to thank our master drummer, Ayan the First, Mr. Culture. You're going to hear from him again in a moment to kick off the social side of things. Ayan and I have been working together for a long time. Whenever there's a first of anything, Ayan is there. When we did the first Yoruba National Day in the world, not just in London. It took place in London, but in the world. That was 23rd of September in the year 2000. It was Ayan the First that was there. And here we are again, where we established the 15th of January as the Igbo and Yoruba Day is here again. So Ayan the First, so thank you. Our wonderful songstress, Igbo songstress, Amarachi Attamah. Unfortunately, she could not be here with us in person because she lost her father over the Christmas period. And she was striving and struggling to make sure that she'll be here. But she wasn't able to. But we felt her presence in the performance, and you will hear from her again very, very shortly after Ayan the First has drummed us out. I want to thank our chair, Joe Wealleans, the true rebel, Celtic, original indigene of England. She's the native. You see, all these English, they are the ones who came in and caused trouble. And we've been talking all day about those who come in and cause trouble. She's a true...
They were called Britons.
They were called Britons. They called you Britons.
Tribe, Britons.
They called you Britons, did they?
No, that was our name, Britons.
Britain.
They were one of the original people of the British Isles.
There we are. So I should say a true Brit. That's where it has meaning, a true Brit. We're very, very grateful and for your participation again in taking this message to the Britons, because we firmly believe that there are good people and bad people all over the world. No country has a monopoly of the good, the bad, or the ugly. Everybody has their quota. And amongst the British people, they're true friends of Africa. and we want Joe to help us take that message across to them. I want to thank our birthday, should I say birthday boy? Dare I say? Birthday boy, Professor Emmanuel Nwanze.
Thank you, sir.
Who has so graced this occasion with the insights and the philosophy and the practical measures that he has recommended. And for those who have been asking about the papers, would they be available? Yes, they will. They will be published afterwards. I want to give our prof a special present. I was tossing up as to who would be made president of the Igbo and Yoruba Day going forward. I thought very hard about Professor Akintoye, but I have to say that Professor Nwanze has pipped it simply by virtue of having his birthday on that very day. So we hereby declare Professor Nwanze as life president of the Igbo and Yoruba Day. Every 15th of January is Igbo and Yoruba Day, and he's our life president, and we'll be celebrating it in this way every single year. Thank you, Prof.
Are you sure I can cope with this toga?
Well, as long as you're living, you're life president. It's as simple as that.
Thank you. Thank you. It's an honor.
Turning to our brilliant Professor Banji Akintoye, truly a father figure to me. You've seen that his journey has been long in this quest to bring our peoples together. And nobody wanted his speech to end. Everybody was enthralled and gripped. I want to, on behalf of the Fatherland Group, to thank him deeply. And although Professor Nwanze has taken the title of Life President of Igbo and Yoruba Day, 15th of January, we want to confer the title of Life President of the Yoruba and Igbo Historical Association on our Professor Banji Akintoye. Thank you, Prof. I then turn to my brother from the East, Timothy Modu. Thank you, Tim, the son of Arachuku, son of his father truly, Timothy C. Modu, original. And the second version is very much on par with the original. The standard and the quality in the Modu family perseveres and is consistent. Thank you, Tim. Then I want to thank Dr. Minyuku, my brother from South Africa. The insights and the experience that he has shared with us have been so valuable, especially that point that there was no conflict between Xhosas and Zulus until the intruders came and then sold the narrative that they will always be killing each other if we're not here to keep them apart. Such a parallel with the Igbo and Yoruba relationship. This my new brother, I love him so much that we've actually resolved to swap names. He understands what I'm saying. I'll be him and he'll be me. It is the beginning of a new brotherhood. Thank you, Dr. Minyuku. And I want to take on board your comments about the need for us to learn from the South African experience, to recognize the reality that we are different, not pretend that we're the same, but open our eyes to the reality that Igbo and Yoruba are different and celebrate that difference. Acknowledge it, don't resent it, embrace it, So I take that on board very much. And you also called for a leader and leadership. Now, I can't be the leader of the Igbos. I do not speak the language. I dare not claim to be the leader of the Yoruba in the presence of great men and great minds like Professor Banji Akintoye. But what I can claim, and what I am claiming, and I dare anybody to challenge me for the title, is leader of the Yorubas and the Igbos, speaking with one voice. Anybody who wants to challenge me, let them step up. But when it comes to those two nations speaking with one voice, I declare myself to be the leader. On that note, I want to thank everybody. As I said, this is the beginning of a journey, or I should say a second base, giving due credit to those who inspired the handshake across the Niger. This is second base. The journey continues, and I want to thank you all and now hand you back to our Compere, Priscilla, to introduce the entertainment. Please do remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We need you so we can communicate with you most effectively. Priscilla, I hand back to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Can I just say, before we move on to our DJ, Sir Dele Ogun, you thanked everybody, and I know that you thanked the Fatherland Group, but you did not mention our DJ by name.
This is why you were chosen for that role, Priscilla. Our DJ is more than a DJ. He's our tech man.
Thank you.
Our man Friday. He's our Superman. Mr. Bonnie Uber, the man whose face will never be shown, but he's the one that makes the Parliament run so well, so dynamically. So now you see what it's really about as he takes over. Nobody should leave. Watch him perform. You've seen the visual. Now you're going to hear him behind the turntables.
Thank you for doing that.
DJ.
Wow, we see our DJ. So thank you so much. And I just want to say, echo the thank yous that have gone out, but most especially, I want to thank all of our delegates that have tuned in from around the world. We appreciate every single one of you. We saw you from Europe, from the United States, from here in the UK, from Nigeria, from around Africa. You all tuned in, and for that, we appreciate you and hope that you can join us on the website and continue to join the conversations on Facebook. And so, as we have said already, please do not leave. DJ is a man of the hour. He knows, he has skills and he can do this. It has been an honor from myself, Priscilla Nwikpo. Thank you so much. And over now to you, Mr. Bonnie Uba.